Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Paperweight Entertainment Podcast, your home for all things Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and so much more. Join Derek and Ian as they tell tales to astonish along this journey into mystery. Grab some snacks and settle in because Paperweight Entertainment starts now. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Paperweight Entertainment Podcast. I almost forgot how to do the intro. I'm your co-host, Derek Hoskins. It's been a while, but with me as always is my good friend and yours, the glue, the one, the only, Mr. Ian Torrance. Ian, thank you for being back. It's been a couple of weeks, buddy.
Has it only been weeks? It feels like longer.
It's been a long couple of weeks for us.
Honest to God, I don't remember the last episode we did together.
WWE
2K24, yeah.
2K24. That was the last episode we actually got to do. Yeah, so it's been a bit. For those listening or watching that don't know what's going on, we hinted at it the last couple episodes that we were actually on here that there were big things happening for us. And those big things finally did happen. We are in the process of procuring, if you will, our local movie theater. And we are already operating it.
We are tired.
We are so tired. We're already operating that theater while we're getting everything transitioned over. So on top of everything that we're already doing, we've also been running a theater and trying to get everything transitioned over in paper and on paper and all that good stuff. It has been an ordeal. It's been a crazy couple of months. So again, I know I talked about it last time. I'm sorry that these are a little more sporadic. We've had a couple of people reach out, which is wild to me, wondering why we haven't been talking about X-Men 97. So here you go. We're going to do a quick little catch-up episode, and we're going to talk about the first 4 episodes of X-Men 97. That was my spiel. Last thing, a little bit of housekeeping. If you aren't yet, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening on the podcast only, don't forget to rate and review us. That's a big help. And share this with your friends. And if you're in the Madison area, come and see a movie and support us that way. Ian, these are a little bit closer to you. You have just before we started recording this, finished up with the 4th episode. So you didn't quite binge this so far, but you went through them pretty quick. You haven't been watching these week to week. Correct. Also, you did not go back and do like a rewatch of the X-Men animated series from the 90s, did you?
Not recently, no. I did within the past few years, but no, not since this has come out or anywhere near when this was coming out. So
yeah, I'm curious how that played for you, because I actually had done last year or 2 years ago, I can't remember, it's been a minute now. Myself and like Sean from formerly of Caption Life, currently Crit Hit the Giant, and Matt Bumpkins and Ellie from the All Day Show, we were doing an X-Men 90 or 92, I think, X-Men animated series rewatch, and we got through the first season, maybe season and a half, before the streaming service we were using shut down, so we didn't get to finish it. But I did go back with the kids and watch the last episode of the original animated series just to kind of get my mindset into it, and so that was a lot of fun going in. But so I had it a little more fresh on my mind. So, my God, it's been so long. I don't remember how to do this. Ian, I'll ask you, what did you think of these first couple of episodes, just as an overall, and then we'll hit some highlights.
I will start with this. I grew up in what is my opinion the perfect time for a fanboy to be a fanboy of Marvel, DC, anything comic book related cartoons, because when we were growing up, you had, and I'll start DC, Batman the Animated Series, which is my all-time favorite. Okay, switch to Marvel, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man the Animated Series, the Incredible Hulk Animated Series, Iron Man the Animated Series. Now, they didn't all have like 5 to 10 seasons. Some only had like 2 to 5. And then there was X-Men, of course, respectively. And with all of those coming out, they all were, we'll just say Marvel-wise, they were all very much in the same vein of the same type of show and everything. But to me, X-Men really stood out. It was very different. It was more, I'd say, edgy and adult-themed. versus the rest of them that was
Hmm.
more cartoonish and campy because they were cartoons. I feel like X-Men at the time, being a cartoon, was ahead of its time, in my opinion. So going into this, I was really excited because I grew up a huge fan of that cartoon. There were, multiple video games. I think one of the best uh, games of all time, and one of the most challenging, is the original X-Men on Sega Genesis, where
Hmm.
you start off and you're just in the danger room and you're in the Amazon and stuff like that. So I was super excited about this because I had all the action figures growing up. I still have some of those action
Hmm.
figures. I've got a Bishop action figure. I've got a Cyclops action figure that I brought up numerous times on this show, to where on his back, you push this little button and his eyes light up, his little
Hmm.
visor. Still works to this day. And I bought that toy in like 96. So I was very, I had very high hopes coming into this. And my first impressions are, although very good, very different, and I struggle at times to care about certain episodes. However, overall, I do think it's a good show, but I've got my high points and I've got my nitpicks.
So I'll piggyback off of that. I have more high points than nitpicks. I'll say that to begin with. Um, I'm very excited about this show in general. I was really excited going into it. X-Men have never been my favorite team. I've always been an Avengers guy, but I did love that animated series like everybody else our age. And so going into this, I was really hoping that it wouldn't just be nostalgia bait, which would have been fine. I would have been fine with it just being like, hey, remember this? Hey, remember this? Just throwing a bunch of member berries at us. Which that's obviously there in this show. It's a nostalgic show.
Mhm.
It's a revival. They're bringing it up right after. It's like another season of the original series. So
Yeah.
that is all there. But one thing that I've really enjoyed is what they've done to update not just the animation style while also keeping some of the strange little things like the weird like frozen frame awkward faces. They've done a few of these. Like that happened a lot in the older animated series where they would just instead of
Looks something
animating
like
their face, it would just
horror. Oh,
and they would just it would just clearly be a frozen frame. There was no animation going on. They have added that in a couple of places here to kind of add to that continuity. Um, but the reason why I was so excited about this is because the writing has been really fresh. They feel like they're taking some chances with the storyline I didn't expect them to take, and the action has been absolutely incredible in the first couple of episodes. Um, so I, as a whole, have loved three out of these four episodes and had things that I enjoyed about the fourth episode. Um, I'll say that I had some things I liked about this week's episode. Um, so why don't we hit nitpicks before we get into highlights? Because I'll have more highlights for sure,
good.
and there are
Episode
a couple
4.
things. Yeah, so let's
Now,
get into nitpicks. Let's get into
uh,
some
uh,
some downsides.
my small nitpicks are, although I get that it is 2024 and things had to change, um, I, not to sound like that, old man, but I didn't think it was necessary to, because it's called X-Men 97. It's a continuation. Like you said, it's a brand new season.
Hmm.
Uh, the animation, although color wise and everything looked very similar to the original, for some reason, I wasn't 100% on board with the anime style, like
Hmm.
current style anime that they
Right.
do, and the way that some of the shots are. Like I said, in anime, like it's hard to explain, but some of the dialogue, the way like it can be a little over the top at times, and kind of seem out of place. Uh, it's fine in anime because that's what you expect, but it just, to me, felt weird because that's not what I grew up on.
Hmm.
And I know that I have to like unwire some of that way of thinking of
Right.
like, well, this isn't the same as like how it was, but at the same time, like I wanted that nostalgia back. And some of the creep, like, I'm sorry, when I was growing up, some of those voices were downright creepy.
Hmm.
Um, like the oh, what are they called? The sewer dweller
The
people, the
Morlocks.
the Morlocks, thank you. Their voices were always really creepy to me.
Right.
And in this one, I felt bad for him. And I just, like I said, the animation style being a little off to me was a small nitpick, but I still very much enjoyed the first two episodes a lot. The third was okay. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it as much as the first two. And the fourth one I really could have done without, because not to be mean, but Jubilee can't carry an episode.
Yeah.
I don't really
I
care
know she's
much.
a fan favorite, but I'd never understood
And I never
Jubilee.
understood, because when I was growing up, everybody always made fun of Jubilee.
Yes, she makes sparklers out of her
Yeah,
fingertips. I know that's not her
she,
only power. I know that she's actually a powerful mutant, but she's such a
but
silly
she
one
never
to.
has been in the show, really, though.
No, 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 no. They never really showcase that in the show.
And that's my gripe. I'm like, well, if she's a fan favorite in the comics, that's fine, but like, you got to incorporate some of that in the show and make me care.
Right.
Because as of right now, I really don't give a shit that she shoots the 4th of July out of her fingertips. I don't care that she blinds sentinels with sparklers. And then she just dances off down the street with Alberto Rodrigo. What is his name?
Roberto.
Roberto. What did
Yeah.
I say? Alberto?
Alberto. Close enough.
Roberto.
Sunspot. Sunspot.
I do like the mystery of Roberto, and he just absolutely flat out refuses to reveal his powers,
Yeah.
to the point where I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if you found out the whole time he's just human?
Right.
He's
He
not even a
actually
mutant.
didn't. Yeah,
He's like,
because
I've never had any powers.
because he's
I don't
only
know why
shown
everybody's
his
chasing
powers
me.
like twice in these 4 episodes, and it's
And
just
he hasn't really
brief.
done anything.
Yeah, yeah. Even in this one where it was like life or death, he was like, "I'll light up one arm and shoot somebody."
Yeah. Yeah. It was so quick and subtle. It wasn't as bitchy as I just made it sound.
No.
So no, man. Overall, I'm gonna finish this series, and I am enjoying it more than some of the stuff we watch. But my fear is each episode has gotten, I'm not gonna say progressively worse, but less appealing, because the first two were just so good, in
Yeah,
my
the first two
opinion.
are excellent.
Bringing and I love that Magneto has that,
The
the
old
M
'90s
going on.
M costume. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I love that suit, and I love the long hair look without the helmet. I think that's really cool, and the sleeveless, like, his whole
Mhm.
outfit is awesome. Um, and him displaying his powers of taking, you know, everybody up to space and being like,
Mhm.
yeah, I could easily just
Yeah.
drop you,
Yeah.
do whatever I want.
Don't make me let you or don't make me
Don't
let you
make me
down.
let you down
Such
was
a
one of the
great line.
best lines. Or the line that he was giving where the humans were storming into the Senate, and what did he say? Like,
So give
something
a
about, like,
monster a trial and they come for you. And then he said
after that.
to play what a oh god, what is it? Something to play by the rules and still
Oh, to play by the rules and still have them come for you, or
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, it was a great
I
line.
know, even though I butchered the line, and it sounds like I didn't really give a shit at the time, I was like, "Ooh, that's good stuff."
Yeah, Magneto
Um,
was fantastic. That
he
whole
was
second episode was amazing.
he was great.
But before we start jumping into all the good things, I'm going to agree with you. The animation style has taken me a minute to get used to.
Yeah,
Because
just getting used to it.
while I do appreciate what they're doing and trying to incorporate some of the things, the
Hmm.
color palette is similar. The 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 new method of animation and the things they can do in animation that they weren't able to do 30 years ago is a vast difference. And just this gulf of change is so vast and so wide that it's hard to get used to, where I'm hearing a lot of the same voice actors have returned. Now it's not all of them,
Yeah.
but a lot of them have returned. And you're seeing the musical cues and the costumes, and it's been really hard to kind of switch my mind over to that. I've been enjoying it. I really have loved it, especially like I said, the action scenes, because I want to hit on a couple of them here in a moment. But that has been one of my big nitpicks. And then this fourth episode overall, like you said, I agree. When I realized that it was going to be a Jubilee episode, I was just like, nah, all right. I just never cared for her.
Yeah,
I
I
much,
don't hate the
and
character.
so here was my problem with episode 4. I'm much more interested, even though I would, and God, it's gonna make me sound so sexist because the two characters I didn't love from the original series were Storm and Jubilee. Storm's voice always annoyed me. the way that she talks, because she's very, even in the
I am
comics,
also annoyed by the way that she talks about
even
the
in the,
wind and the thunder.
even in the comics, she's very, very over the top and everything like that. And it
Delicious.
always has bothered me. But her storyline with her and Forge is a great story from the comics that I was excited about them getting into. And I don't think it should have been a half of a show, half of an episode, because they rushed so much. Like it went from, hey, we just met, to, oh, I
Hey, I
love
just met
you.
you. This is crazy.
In no time at all. Like there was no discussion of time. There was no understanding of how long they've been together, how long they've been interacting, any of that.
It's implied that it's only been days to
Days.
maybe a week,
Yeah.
and it's just like I said the same thing to myself because there was nobody here, but I was like, he goes from. Also, I was a little confused because Bishop's like, I know exactly who to take this baby to, somebody that can craft anything, and I'm like, oh, well, that must be Forge, and then he goes off, and then Forge is like, oh, by the way, I'm here, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh,
So
wait a minute.
Allie was confused about that also. For anybody that hasn't, and Ian, since I know you haven't done a rewatch of it, Forge and Bishop's time is very old. So it is the same Forge. It's just Forge 30 years in the
And
future.
see, I thought I remember in the old series that he was not like in his 70s, but he was just like around like maybe a few years older than what he is now. Was
So
he
he
not
he kind
a
of
young
looked
man in
like,
that time frame?
no, no, but they did that weird thing in like 90s animation where to show somebody's old is they gave him crow's feet and a little bit of gray hair.
Oh,
And
maybe
so
that's why.
so he didn't look as old as he was
I
supposed
thought,
to.
yeah, because guess what he has in this episode? A little bit of
A
crow's
little
feet
bit
and
of
a little
crow's.
bit of gray hair.
But yeah, I think that if I'm not wrong, Bishop's time in the animated series is
But
like 2030, 2025 to 2030, something
but
like that. So it's about 30 years down the road.
that also begs the question: why did he have to go to the future? Why didn't they just get a hold of the Forge from today? Why didn't they just track him down?
You would think, especially because they know Forge exists in the present because there were
Yes,
interactions with Forge in the other
and
series.
it's not like, oh, well, he has years of knowledge and experience. He
That's not
can
how it's
create whatever he
that's not how it
wants,
works.
whenever he
The
wants.
only thing that I can think is because the technology, in order, because they made that very specific where he's able to work with what he's got right now to make
Yeah,
things
that's
work.
fair. That's
But
fair.
maybe because the technology and the mechanics of the
It's
day are
more
better.
advanced. Yeah.
But either way, that was my biggest nitpick with this episode is I was interested in what was going on with Forge and Storm. Now I love Mojo and all of that was fun and it was great, the nostalgia of hearing the old X-Men
Glenn Mojo
arcade.
went on that diet.
He did. He was looking emaciated.
He
He
was
was looking
looking,
rough.
yeah, he was looking very thin. But yeah, that bothered me too with the whole timeline of like Ford showing up and being like, "Hey,
Oh,
Storm,
so
I really want
quick.
to help you out. Run off with me." Okay,
Hmm.
cool. But I love you. Wait, what? Get
And
off
then
me. I
and
like
then
that she
Storm
slapped him.
getting so mad. I was glad that she slapped him too. But at the same time, I, I thought that storyline always bothers me in any kind of media where there's somebody that is opening up and explaining something, their biggest regret, the thing that they wish they never would have done, the thing that they, if they could go back and change it, they would. And then the person they're talking to getting mad and smacking them and like storming off. It's like, look, he didn't.
Storming off.
Hmm. But that always bothered me because it's like, look, he's not like, oh yeah, I kept this from you because I was gonna, use this against you at some point. It's like I kept this from you because I was ashamed of myself. I didn't
Yeah.
want to tell you about it. I found this is an opportunity for me to fix my biggest mistake. And I understand her being mad and like being disappointed, but man, that whole interaction was so annoying because she flipped on a dime, just like he did, where he just met her and now he's in love with her. So yeah, episode 4 was a weird episode,
Yeah.
but
Well, plus, like, I didn't feel like they really went together because on one hand, you got Jubilee and Roberto being pulled into this game, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like back to reality. Oh, by the way, this man is in love with this woman that he's
just
kept
met.
hostage in a cabin for. Okay, maybe not hostage, but
Maybe not.
making his papa's chili, his famous chili.
Yeah. And then it ended with a weird like owl monster thing,
Yeah.
which I don't know. Again, I don't know what that is. I don't know what Allie was asking me. She was just like, "Do you know who that is?" I said, "No." When I first saw like the red eyes, I thought, "Oh, maybe we're bringing Shadow King back to mess with Storm because that would have been a lot of
Right.
fun."
That would
But
have been
no,
cool.
I have no idea what it is.
And it still could be. It still could
It
be.
still could be. But that will lead me into something that I really have enjoyed about these last couple episodes. The horror has been great. Like there has been some disturbing imagery. The stuff that
Mr.
Madeline Pryor put into everybody's head, and
Yeah,
then Mr.
that
Sinister
was
just
very
being
good.
creepy.
Although I'm not a big I know the Goblin Queen is also like a fan favorite amongst
Hmm.
people. Um I thought she was it was just kind of really funny to me that she's just like I'm not a clone, and nobody ever questioned the fact that
Right.
she could be because she looked like younger and her skin cells were very young looking.
Right.
And I'm not saying Jean's old by any means, but I'm just like, oh, okay, so let's, entertain the possibility. And everybody's like, yeah, I mean, you could be a clone. And she's just like, I'm not a clone. And then she gets mad at everybody for thinking she's a clone. And it's just like, that's very clone-like behavior. You know what I mean?
Were
Like you
you
can't
angry at Cyclops in that episode? Why would you let this person that you're not sure if really is who she says she
just
is
walk off with your
walk off with your
child.
child? What are you doing?
Yeah. It's like, can you hand me the baby? No, no,
Oh,
I'm angry.
oh,
That's
okay.
more of a
That's
reason I should carry him.
what a great thing to do. Let this woman who I have just found out may not be who I thought she was wander off
Also,
with my baby.
it did bother me that Nathan was in this vat of Nickelodeon green slime without any kind of breathing
Nowhere to yeah,
apparatus.
just breathing it in.
He's
It's
just
Mr. Sinister. Maybe he has access to the weird like liquid breathing stuff from the abyss.
probably let's go with that.
Ed Harris was in the tube next to him. Just
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, Mr. Sinister always creeped me out as a kid,
yeah.
and he's even creepier. And I love like he just always fades back into a wall,
Into
just,
nothing.
just disappears every time.
Yeah,
It's like, how's this dude keep getting in? And then the whole thing with the baby monitor, and then it turns out like he's behind her, and then he
uh
disappears. He's in the baby monitor again. I'm like, turn that baby monitor off.
yeah, no, it's so creepy. But yeah, the creep factor in general for that whole episode, and man, the disturbing imagery of Rogue and Magneto like melting together, that was that was
Well,
uncomfortable and
not only that, but
unnecessary.
it was unnecessary. But I've always loved that Mr. Sinister's power was just to be a fucking creepy scientist. That's his
That's
power.
his power.
He's a crazy
Uh,
scientist.
he's just weird immortal guy.
Yeah.
Uh, so also another big thing that I want to hit on is the action. I was thinking about you the entire first episode because I know Cyclops is he's kind of your boy when it comes to the X-Men. And
Yeah.
they finally got Cyclops right, in my opinion. He was excellent.
He was
Where
great
not
in the
only
first two episodes, and then he
yeah,
teetered in the
he
third
didn't
to
do
me a
much in the
little.
third. Yeah, but in the first two episodes, I mean, he was using his blast, which by the way are have always been concussive. They never treated them like that before. But
Hmm.
him being able to use them to propel himself backwards, like when he's rescuing Sunspot at the beginning and like
Oh
dodging
yeah.
things by like hitting the ground and pushing himself backwards
Well,
was
I love that
incredible.
he's just falling out of the sky, and he's like, "Good work, team." And I'm like, "Well, what about you?" And I was
Yeah, I
like,
know.
"Oh, he's probably gonna hit the thing, and a parachute's gonna fly out." And
Right.
he's just like,
Nope.
"Nope, I'm just gonna use my fucking eyes.
And
Just
it
gonna
was
use
awesome.
my eyes and create a little crater and slow myself down to the earth." And then, like they were at the courthouse, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna." Hold a perimeter here, and you just blast the earth and causing it to like, kind of like splinter upward to where they
Hmm.
couldn't get around. It builds like a wall, and I'm like, God, I love you.
Yeah, he was great. Um, and then also
Also, Wolverine is
Wolverine.
just at a high level of creepy in this.
He really is.
He hasn't done shit this entire series
He did one
except
thing,
for
and it was
creep me out.
he did one thing, and I'm gonna give that to everyone but him. Him taking out Master Mold, but only because Gambit charged up his claws, and then Morph turned into
Yeah.
Gambit charged up his claws, blew up his staff behind his back to propel him forward. Then Morph turned into Blob, so can jump up high enough. So yeah, Wolverine anybody that has ever listened to this show knows my thoughts on Wolverine. Wolverine is lame. He is the lamest X-Men. I would take Morph's powers over him any day. I would take
Well, Morph
Maggot's
has the
power.
power to have all the power, though.
Yeah, he does. Morph has been awesome in this. He's
Agreed.
been hilarious. He's been a lot of fun. Um, I really like what they've done with this character, where they've kind of made him more like the morph from like the Exiles, where he actually had like the white face, where the alternate universe morph, where he's a little bit more like Plastic Man, kind of funny, kind of silly. I like that version of morph better than sad, sunken eyed,
I was gonna
sinister
say
puppet morph.
I liked when he was like, "Oh, nobody knows about Sinister more than me," and he changes to the face with like the giant black bags under his eyes. I
It's
was
like in
like,
case
"Dude,
you
you
forgot.
chose that. You can have any face you want. Go to
But
sleep."
sleep, nighty night. But yeah, I've loved the action. I've really enjoyed the voice cast. There have been a couple that are a little weird. Cal Dodd as Wolverine. He's starting to sound a little more like Richard Nixon than Wolverine to me. Um, Lenora Zan, who plays Rogue, her voice is decidedly different. Um,
Definitely,
I
that's
can,
the big
you can
one.
still hear her. Ross Marquand has been great. He's always great. He's Professor X. So the voice cast has been great. Some of the older ones are a little strange, but I'm getting used to them. And overall, I'm just looking forward to this. I'm curious to see how this goes as they move forward. And I really like that they had one thing that I loved about the original series is that they took storylines from the comics and they adapted them for children.
Hmm.
This feels like they're adapting different storylines from that same era for young adults because there are some things that are scarier than normal. There are things that are they've been dealing with some things that they wouldn't have, like everything that's going on with Rogue and Magneto, which, by the way, for anybody that didn't know that Rogue and Magneto had a thing in the comics, that's an interesting relationship. Check out Age of Apocalypse for some hot Magneto and Rogue action. It's really freaking weird.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, also I wanted to, speaking of Rogue, I remembered something. What do you think about old Remy's little crop top that he likes to wear while he's cooking up beignets?
Yeah, the hairstyles in this, like I said, very anime, very 2000s, which I
Right,
don't understand because this is not set in this time.
right.
Um, so Storm randomly having her hair
Having your
and
mohawk.
yeah, and then Gambit having whatever the fuck that thing is. I do like that when he's in uniform, it looks, like the old style, but when it's
Right.
not, I'm just like, what is happening here?
I laughed so hard. I was like, "Oh my god, we're seeing Gambit's little belly button there while he's frying up with his little tongs, little clickety click." That has made people very angry online. If you're curious about what everybody's mad about from the first couple episodes,
It's the hair.
it's not the hair, it's the fact that Gambit is wearing a pink like cut off like crop top.
I don't care about that.
I
That's
don't
very
either.
like 80s bodybuilder
Yeah,
type.
100%. Also, I don't have one of my Gambit action figures here next to me, but somebody made the comment that he's essentially just the bisexual flag because he's like pink, blue, and purple.
If I got a bisexual tone from anybody, it would definitely be Morph.
Yeah, well, I know that their morph is
But at the same time,
specifically
who
like,
gives a shit?
yeah, nobody does.
Fucking
Well,
enjoy the
trolls
enjoy the
trolls on the
cartoon.
internet.
That's true.
Trolls on the internet. And that's the other thing, like morph
My
being
Gambit doesn't
non-binary.
wear crop tops.
Yeah, like morph being non-binary. I know that caused a big stir, but so far it's done nothing to change the character at all. The character seems like morph,
I mean, if you think about it,
and it makes sense
he
for
could be
them to
any
be
sex he wants
non-binary.
to be anywhere. Yeah, he
Yeah.
could be anything he wants to be
I
anyway.
mean,
So
we've seen Morph be Angel, we've seen Morph be Spiral, Blob,
yeah.
so we've seen male and female. So I don't see the point in why people are stupid. That's the main thing. People are
Yeah, they're
whiny.
focusing on the wrong thing. Who cares about their
It's
sexual
it's
orientation? It's a fucking
instead of
cartoon.
yeah, instead of focusing on Cyclops, being hardcore like he always should have been, and Gambit riding on Wolverine's back while charging up his claws. These are
Yeah,
awesome things. They're awesome.
yeah. Who cares about what kind of outfit he likes to cook
I don't know.
breakfast in?
Yeah, I know. Who cares? Who cares?
I didn't
But
realize people were
oh
outraged over that.
God, yeah. I mean, it
I'm
wasn't
not
this big.
surprised,
It
but
wasn't like a big, huge outcry like when they found out that Morph was going to be portrayed as non-binary. But
oh, that was a real like
oh yeah,
complaint.
oh, people were really mad. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's favorite X-Men character, Morph.
Yeah, right. Because
Like,
if you
come
didn't watch
on.
the cartoon, you probably didn't know who he was in the first place.
Morph wasn't even like it's two different
Or
characters.
who they were, should I say they?
Yeah, they. But I mean, Morph in the comics, the original X-Men animated series, that character is based off of a completely different character called Changeling
Yeah,
that then was Morph. Who cares? It's so dumb.
I
The
know.
the false
But like you
outrage
said,
for characters that you haven't thought about in 30 years is so annoying to me. But let's not end on that. Let's end on what
God, I love Morph so much, and you've changed him, and now I don't know if I can get into him. Okay, what's his real name? What's his actual name?
what's Morph's actual name?
It's
I
Morph,
can't
of
tell you. I
course.
can't tell you what Morph's actual name is. I'm not gonna lie because I don't
I
care that
I
much
don't know
about
it
Morph.
either because I never cared that much about
I mean, I
Morph.
like Morph.
I never,
Morph's
I
fine.
never, I never hated him by any means.
No, no, no.
But he was always like he's like after that first episode where they very much make it sound like he dies.
Right.
He was kind of creepy when he came back. He just had that split personality thing going on.
Little Gollum and Smeagol action going. um. All right. So I don't know what the I don't know what the big like overarching story is going to be. I'm sure they're going to have something. Who do you think the big bad of this season is going to be? Do you think it's Sinister, or do you think they're going to bring out somebody else?
Uh, by the way, his name is Kevin Sidney. He does have a
Kevin
name,
Sidney.
Kevin Sidney.
Kevin Sidney.
I wouldn't have gotten either one of those on my own.
No, not even a little bit.
What was your question to me?
Who do you think the big bad of the season is going to be? Do you think we're going to be seeing Sinister more, or do you think they're going to bring in somebody else? Because they teased Master Mold in the first episode, and then that was gone, and then they teased the Goblin Queen and Sinister, and then so I mean we'll see.
I don't
But
know. I think it's going to be somebody that we're not expecting, like you said. With Storm, I think it'll be
Shadow King maybe.
Shadow King. I think that would be a cool villain, a big bad villain for the whole season, if you will. I don't know. There's a lot they could do here. I love that they showed the original intro
Mm-hmm.
to the show, but none of those characters are really in the show.
Yeah.
Now, granted, remember, if we haven't said it already, I never finished the original X-Men cartoon. I never finished it. So I don't know who's still alive, who's still around, and who's still, breathing and whatnot. But I do remember there being really cool characters like Juggernaut, and when they gave him like his origin story.
Mm-hmm.
And I always loved Nightcrawler in the cartoon, and he wasn't in the show nearly enough.
No, he was not.
So I liked it when they brought back, what was it, Wolverine and the X-Men, where
Mm-hmm.
Nightcrawler was like in every episode,
Yeah.
as he should have been.
And
Because
Colossus.
I
Colossus
like
was never
Colossus.
a big part of the animated series.
No, he was like a
He
special
popped in
guest
every now and again.
appearance to like rebuild something that was broke.
Yeah. I guess I can't be too nitpicky about that though, because Beast, Gambit, and Colossus are my favorite X-Men. And I got two of them on the main team. So even though they never give Beast anything cool to do, although him piloting the Sentinel from the inside was pretty neat. Just
Also,
inside that Sentinel moving around.
him nonchalantly destroying everybody's lives and not really giving a shit was very entertaining too. Oh well, as you can tell, this is also Jean Grey. Okay, yeah, where are you going with this? This is the original. That bitch is a clone.
Yeah.
Discuss. And he just keeps
He
going
just
back to his
fades into
little. He just keeps like going back to his little science experiment, and I'm just like, really, buddy? You're just gonna drop this bombshell, and you're not gonna
just
elaborate?
walk away.
That's it? That's all you're gonna say? Well,
That's
what
all I
else
got.
is there to say?
That I
That's
have
Gene.
beakers.
That's a clone. I didn't. What more do you want? A little empathy, a little like, hey, I'm sorry to have to tell you this. You may want to sit down. This is going to blow your mind. Well, I don't have time for that. I have
Oh,
I have test around.
I have beakers and test
I
tubes.
have beakers. this beaker ain't gonna beak without me. So I do love bees. Always been a favorite. That's
Yeah,
what I
he's
loved about him in the original cartoon. Like, wasn't there like a whole thing where they were trying to break him out of prison
yeah,
and
he
he's just
wouldn't
in there
get
reading
he
a
just
book?
stayed in prison. He's like, no, I'll have my
I'm
day in
okay.
court.
Just reading a book. Upside down too, wasn't he?
Yeah, hanging out from the ceiling. I'm excited to see. I hope that we get Cable. I hope we get some interaction with Cable later on because we got Cable a
Cable was
lot.
such a douche in the
He
original,
really
though.
was. Cable's another one of my favorite characters. So I want to see them because they never really did. They hinted that he knew that Cyclops was his dad, but they
Hmm.
never really had any big interactions. So I'm hoping that we get that this season too. I think they've already greenlit a second season for this. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Is it going to be called X-Men 98?
Probably. Just keep going.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. All
Well,
right.
that's all I got, man.
That's all I got as well. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming back after we've been on a bit of a hiatus. I can't guarantee that we'll be back every week, but we will definitely catch back up with X-Men 97. If not before then, we definitely will by the finale. Um, and I think Ian may have a video game review at some point if we ever get a chance to do something with our lives other than all the things we're already doing and actually have time for things like video games.
Currently, I
It's
am
crazy.
working on Alone in the Dark. And Alone in the
Woo.
Dark, if you don't know, has gotten its 14th remake. Actually, I'm kidding. I think
It's
it's
a
only the second time it's been
I was
remade.
to say it's been remade more than once. My dog is losing his mind out there. Um I apologize. He messed up my whole train of thought.
I can tell.
Let's get out of here. Let's be done with this. This has been thank if you stuck around this long, I thank you. I really appreciate you. You're amazing. And again, if you did stick around this long, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, bring the notification bell, and that way you'll get alerts anytime we actually do post a video. There'll be more updates about what we're doing with the theater, more updates with what we're doing here. We'll be talking about X-Men 97, video games, all the things we usually do, just a little more sporadically. And again, if you're listening on the podcast only, don't forget to rate and review. It really helps us out a lot. Thank you guys so much for your patience. Thank you for your support. We really, really appreciate it. So, with all of that being said, everything else is done, and I cannot think any longer. So, for Ian, I have been Derek. This has been the Paperweight Entertainment Podcast, and we will see you next time.